The renowned New York basketball player Batouly Camara of UCONN Huskies Basketball was the 9th best player in the country by ESPN.com. Now, she's on track to get her master's degree in sports management with a focus on sport for peace development in May. Author of the children's book A Basketball Game on Wake Street. She was the president of a group that works to empower student athletes. Camara has also been as hosting a panel with ESPN's Stephen A. Smith and has given a TEDx talk. According to her biography of USA Basketball, what most people don't know about her is that she speaks her native language, Malinke, from the beautiful country Guinea. We welcome Batouly Camara. Thank you for accepting this interview. Well, for the first question, you have battled multiple injuries. You have shoulder surgery in 2016 and approximately 6 procedures later, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle. It has made you a stronger person and you have felt a great support from your peers. What it was like to be injured on and off for 4 years straight.
It was an absolutely amazing experience. I want to first say thank you so much for having me on this. I'm really appreciative. And it was absolutely amazing for experience. It wasn't easy, as you mentioned. Some things that I don't even remember because I feel so good right now. But meeting great teammates, being able to be coached by World and Hall of Fame coaches is something I will never forget. And I'm so thankful for that experience.
Mitchell from Kentucky said, "There is no one who has gotten harder times from the coach this year than Batouly." Also, you said to mydailynews.com, "It's one thing to sit out when you're injured, but when you're healthy, that's a different story." And finally, you was thinking right about what it is like to play for arguably two of the greatest coaches in the University of Connecticut. Based on these affirmations, what is your opinion about the importance of the work of coaches in your training and in athletes of different disciplines?
Coaches are such an integral part of the game. They can ultimately shape your entire experience of sport forever. And that's how impactful they are. But more than that, they're also people, and they shape how you see and how you view life, the choices you decide to make, and how you decide to make them. So for me, I've had the ability to have amazing coaches since I started playing the game at 12 years old, coaches who cared for me as a person and as a player. And, through hard times, being able to give me perspective, this is what's going on, to continue working hard, to continue being a good person, is all things that I had to think about. And I had coaches who were around me to remind me of that, who I'm so thankful for. So I always say, in my next life, maybe I'll be a coach, but I'm so thankful for the work they do because it is day in and day out, a full-time job, thinking and caring for other people's children and wanting to make them better people and better players. So I'm so thankful for the coaches I had. And I think being a coach is an incredible, not even job, but thing to experience as you impact a young kid's life.
Thank you. What it was like being a Muslim student at the University of Connecticut? I know as an active member of the Muslim Student Association, and you have been vocal on social media about being a Muslim athlete. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little more about collaboration in this activity.
Yeah, it has been, I've always been Muslim, and I think during my college career, deciding to be visibly Muslim was a change that occurred. And it was a change for me and for my teammates and for everyone who knew me before and during that transition. So for me, it was a stepping stone in my faith. one that I've wanted to take and had the courage to, and the courage to practice and to learn more and to seek more information and knowledge. It was interesting being an athlete and also, being a part of these different organizations, because some people will break you up in pieces, oh, she's Muslim and then she's a basketball player, but it just felt like I was Batouly. And that was what was encompassing of what I was doing and who I was and the identities I held true to myself. And it was also a very sacred thing to me. So as I said, it was a step in my spiritual journey that happens to be visible. And I don't think a lot of people could distinguish the two and didn't understand. So it required a lot of reaching out to other people and wanting to learn more about me, who I was, what Islam was. So it gave me a platform to speak on that and to speak on the religion. But at the same time, it was not easy because, like I said, it's sacred to me. And that's something I always felt the need to talk about. But when you're on this large platform, often having to. So it was incredible and incredibly supportive at UConn. My teammates, my coaches made me feel very comfortable being myself. And I'm so grateful for that.
In the UConn blog, you mentioned that sport was freedom to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now you are publishing your first book titled A Basketball Game on White Street. To talk a little more about your book, inspired by your visit to India, my question is, in what way is this freedom manifested in your book?
The freedom to first know. So A Basketball Game on Wake Street is a book I wrote and completed in December. I am working to publish it in about a week and a half, so I'm super excited about that. And in that, it discusses my experiences with girls from diverse backgrounds and unique abilities, as mentioned, my trip to India. And for me growing up, the first thing was I didn't start playing sports till I was 12. And prior to my experiences playing, I thought I had not seen any girl play sports. I often saw my brother or boys in the parks play sports, and that was my only knowledge of the game and who could play it. It was directly who I saw. And every community and every neighborhood is different, but that was my experience. And as I got older and I started to play and I was involved in the game, as a young girl, you're not always treated like your brother. You can't always go outside past certain times or do certain things. And my mother is amazing and such a trendsetter and first person who really believed in me and who stepped away from the grain of cultural norms, as she's from Guinea, West Africa, and as a first generation, to say, I don't understand it. This is how I was raised. But my daughter wants to play sport, and sport allowed me the freedom, I said, to travel, but more so physically, but more so mentally, to dream and to see myself outside of educational realms, or as a wife or as a mom, but to really see myself as something more than that, was someone who was, relentless and could set goals with amazing teammates and be surrounded by really powerful women. It really changed a lot for me. And that is manifested through the book, as every single girl there is saying that is playing the sport that I love, and to be able to say, there's a place for you in sport. There's a voice for you when you felt voiceless. And this is what I want this book to be. To be able to give courage and the freedom to first believe in your mindset, like I see it, and then to actually act on it, is what I want this book to be for young girls all over the world.
That's amazing. You have the intent to build a school in Africa. What will be the educational system that you will be using for these kids in Africa through your school? Do you have a specific system, or it will be an adaptation of a system of other countries?
Something I realized early was you don't always want to invent the wheel. And there are other places who have done it and who have successful models of this. As I mentioned, my trip to India was a huge eye-opener for me. There are various models across Africa as well who have created boarding school and basketball academies that are successful and fully functioning. And so for me, the biggest difference would be all girls. I think it's important to create that sisterhood and to be intentional about the community you're serving. And for me, as I mentioned, that's young girls. And to say this academy will serve as a boarding school, a place where you can live, eat, study, and also have training, which is really important, and then attend school. So the structure has been there, and it's just figuring out ways to implement it that fits Guinea best is what the challenge would be.
Well, I heard in your TED conference
Mm-hmm.
that you speak about mutilation of genitals in young girls.
Mm.
How do you think practice can be ended? How do you think people can contribute to end this cruel practice? Is there already an organization working on this?
So female genital mutilation is something that usually takes place for young girls, and it can range anywhere from 3 to any age, but usually starting as young as 3 years old. And it is a direct attack on a girl's body for cultural reasons that have no scientific validity. It is just an act of violence against a girl and their body. And so for me, growing up being very aware of this, as I've had direct family members who have dealt with this on multiple occasions, it was something I felt very strongly about. Is at that moment I realized it was larger than sports. It was larger than myself, but it was a system and society and the act of violence against a woman's body and women at home. So for me, I would say the biggest thing is knowledge. And that was something, as I spoke to NGOs and nonprofit organizations across Guinea and across the world who are doing this work, and a lot of work around UNESCO, who provides insightful information and data, which is so important, to say that knowledge is the best. And once you're knowledgeable, then you can spread it out. So there are also organizations who are called, Men Against FGM, and empowering community leaders who are there and on the ground to stop these acts of violence. So the biggest thing I would say is first, acquiring knowledge. What is this? What is this practice? Where is it coming from? Because you don't want to just attack the person. You want to really figure out why would you do something like this? And once you acquire that knowledge, then to say who is doing the work and how can I support them? So there are mediums through, using social media. There are also mediums as, sending out brochures, attending conferences who are talking about this. But there are many ways to be involved. But the first I'd say is acquire knowledge and see what is happening.
You wrote something to the Huskies Tribune, and that sounds so interesting to me. You said that you have had the honor and privilege of speaking with leaders ranging from age 5 to 30. Mm-hmm. Who are some of these extraordinary people?
That is an amazing question. And first and foremost, there's so many that just rush to my mind. But Jessica Wu is someone who is near and dear to my heart. Jessica actually came to our school, the University of Connecticut, through a program at the University of Tennessee. I'm forgetting the name, but it was surrounding ESPN and a global leadership program. And Jessica is doing direct work in a place in the Philippines where human trafficking is so rampant, working to build a safe space for women and using so many sports and in order to empower women to have a voice, as she was also a victim. And I don't think she liked that word victim, but as she's a fighter, as she is a fighter in that movement and in that process. And she is doing the work at the ground level. And as a mom now, still empowering women through sport. Jessica is someone whose story I spoke about in my TED Talk, actually, who's very near and dear to my heart. And so many young girls all over the world who, whenever I travel, show up. It's not about being brave or the big and courageous acts, but, like little Shivani in India or Bintu in Guinea, or Aisha in New York, who just show up every day with their best foot forward. And those are the real girls who inspire me.
Thank you so much. It's amazing written everything about empowering kids and women around the world. Thank you for this interview. I hope to see your book soon. Thank you
so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Awesome.